Henry Tandey VC, DCM, MM was an English recipient of the Victoria Cross, the highest award for gallantry in the face of the enemy that can be awarded to British and Commonwealth forces. He was the most highly decorated British private of the First World War. Born with the family name of Tandy, he later changed his surname to Tandy after problems with his father. Therefore some military records have a different spelling of his name. Early life. Henry Tandy was born in Leamington, Warwickshire, the son of a former soldier. He spent part of his childhood in an orphanage, before becoming a boiler attendant at a hotel. Military service. Tandy enlisted into the Green Howards Regiment on the 12th of August 1910. After basic training he was posted to the 2nd Battalion on the 23rd of January 1911, serving with them in Guernsey and South Africa prior to the outbreak of World War I. He took part in the Battle of Ypres in October 1914, and was wounded on the 24th of October 1916, at the Battle of the Somme. On discharge from hospital he was posted to the 3rd Battalion on the 5th of May 1917, before moving to the 9th Battalion on the 11th of June 1917. He was wounded a second time on the 27th of November 1917, during the Battle of Passchendaele. After his second period of hospital treatment he returned to the 3rd Battalion on the 23rd of January 1918, before being posted to the 12th Battalion on the 15th of March 1918, where he remained until the 26th of July 1918. On the 26th of July 1918 Tandy transferred from the Green Howards to the Duke of Wellington's. He was posted to the 5th Battalion on the 27th of July 1918. Distinguished Conduct Medal. On the 28th of August 1918, during the Second Battle of Cambrai, the 5th Battalion was in action to the west of the Canal du Nord. Tandy was in charge of one of several bombing parties on the German trenches. As the forward parties were being held up, Tandy took 2 men and dashed across open ground under fire and bombed a trench. He returned with 20 prisoners. This action led to the capture of the German positions, and Tandy was awarded the Distinguished Conduct Medal on the 5th of December 1918. The citation read, 34,506 PTE. H. Tandy, 5th BN, W. Rid. He was in charge of a reserve bombing party in action, and finding the advance temporarily held up, he called on 2 other men of his party, and working across the open in rear of the enemy, he rushed to post, returning with 20 prisoners, having killed several of the enemy. He was an example of daring courage throughout the whole of the operations. On the 12th of September the 5th Battalion was involved in an attack at Havrincourt, where Tandy again distinguished himself, having rescued several wounded men under fire the previous day. Tandy again led a bombing party into the German trenches, returning with more prisoners. For this action Tandy was awarded the Military Medal on the 13th of March 1919. Victoria Cross. Tandy was 27 years old and a private in the 5th Battalion Duke of Wellington's regiment when he performed the actions which earned him the Victoria Cross. On the 28th of September 1918, during a counter-attack at the canal, following the capture of Marcoing, France, his platoon was stopped by machine gun fire. Tandy crawled forward, located the gun position, and with the Lewis gun team, silenced it. Reaching the canal crossing, he restored the plank bridge under heavy fire. In the evening, he and 8 comrades were surrounded by an overwhelming number of the enemy. Tandy led a bayonet charge, fighting so fiercely that 37 of the enemy were driven into the hands of the remainder of his company. Although twice wounded, Tandy refused to leave until the fight was won, eventually going into hospital for the third time on the 4th of October 1918. An eyewitness, Private H. Lister, recounted the episode on the 28th of September 1918 during the taking of the crossing over the Canal de Street, Quintanet in Marcoing. I was one of the Lewis gun team of my platoon. I witnessed the whole of the gallantry of Private Tandy throughout the day. Under intensely heavy fire he crawled forward in the village when we were held up by the enemy MG and found where it was, and then led myself and comrades with the gun into a house from where we were able to bring Lewis gunfire on the MG and knock it out of action. Later, when we got to the canal crossings and the bridge was down, PTE Tandy, under the fiercest of aimed MG fire, went forward and replaced planks over the bad part of the bridge to enable us all to cross without delay, which would otherwise have ensued. On the same evening when we made another attack, we were completely surrounded by Germans, and we thought the position might be lost. PTE Tandy, without hesitation, though he was twice wounded very nastily, took the leading part in our bayonet charge on the enemy. To get clear, though absolutely faint, he refused to leave us until we had completely finished our job, collected our prisoners and restored the line. His VC was gazetted on the 14th of December 1918. The citation read, number 34506 PTE. Henry Tandy, D.C.M. MM, 5th BN.W. Rcdarchive, for most conspicuous bravery and initiative during the capture of the village and the crossings at Marcoing, and the subsequent counter-attack on September 28, 1918. When, during the advance on Marcoing, his platoon was held up by machine gun fire, he at once crawled forward, located the machine gun, and, with the Lewis gun team, knocked it out. On arrival at the crossings, he restored the plank bridge under a hail of bullets, thus enabling the first crossing to be made at this vital spot. Later in the evening, during an attack, he, with 8 comrades, was surrounded by an overwhelming number of Germans, and though the position was apparently hopeless, he led a bayonet charge through them, fighting so fiercely that 37 of the enemy were driven into the hands of the remainder of his company. Although twice wounded, he refused to leave till the fight was won. Hitler incident. Although disputed, Adolf Hitler and Tandy allegedly encountered each other at the French village of Marcoing. The story is set on the 28th of September 1918, while Tandy was serving with the 5th Duke of Wellington's regiment, and relates that a weary German soldier wandered into Tandy's line of fire. The enemy soldier was wounded and did not even attempt to raise his own rifle. Tandy chose not to shoot. The German soldier saw him lower his rifle and nodded his thanks before wandering off. That soldier is purported to have been Adolf Hitler. The author David Johnson, who wrote a book on Henry Tandy, believes this story was an urban myth. Hitler apparently saw a newspaper report about Tandy being awarded the VC regiment, recognized him, and kept the clipping. In 1937, Hitler was made aware of a particular Fortunina Matania painting by Dr. Otto Schwendt, a member of his staff. Schwendt had been a medical officer during the First Battle of Ypres in 1914. He had been sent a copy of the painting by Lieutenant Colonel Earl. In 1936, Earl had been treated by Schwendt in a medical post at the Menin Crossroads, and they remained in touch after the war. The painting was commissioned by the Green Howards Regiment from the Italian artist in 1923, showing a soldier purported to be Tandy carrying a wounded man at the Kruiseki Crossroads in 1918, northwest of Menin. The painting was made from a sketch provided to Matania by the regiment, based on an actual actual event at that crossroads. A building shown behind Tandy in the painting belonged to the Van den Broeke family, who were presented with a copy of the painting by the Green Howards Regiment. Schwend obtained a large photo of the painting. Captain Weidmann, Hitler's adjutant, wrote the following response: "I beg to acknowledge your friendly gift which has been sent to Berlin through the good offices of Dr. Schwend. The Führer is naturally very interested in things connected with his own war experiences, and he was obviously moved when I showed him the photograph and explained the thought which you had in causing it to be sent to him. He was obviously moved when I showed him the picture. He has directed me to send you his best thanks for your friendly gift which is so rich in memories." Quote. Apparently Hitler identified the soldier carrying the wounded man as Tandy from the photo of him in the newspaper clipping he had obtained in 1918. In 1938, when Neville Chamberlain visited Hitler at his Alpine retreat, the Berghof, for the discussions that led to the Munich Agreement, he noticed the painting and asked about it. Hitler replied, "That man came so near to killing me that I thought I should never see Germany again. Providence saved me from such devilishly accurate fire as those English boys were aiming at us." According to the story, Hitler asked Chamberlain to convey his best wishes and gratitude to Tandy. Chamberlain promised to phone Tandy in person on his return, which apparently he did. The Cadbury Research Centre, which holds copies of Chamberlain's papers and diaries, has no references relating to Tandy from the records of the 1938 meeting. The story further states that the phone was answered by a 9-year-old child called William Whately. William was related to Tandy's wife Edith. However, Tandy at that time lived at 22 Cope Street, Coventry, and worked for the Triumph Motor Company. According to the company records, they only had 3 phone lines, none of which was at Tandy's address. British Telecommunications Archive records also have no telephones registered to that address in 1938. Post-war service. On 13 March 1919, a supplement to the London Gazette announced that Tandy had been awarded the Military Medal. The following day he was discharged from service, and only 1 day later he re-enlisted into the Duke of Wellington's 3rd Battalion on a short service engagement. 3 days later he was promoted to acting Lance Corporal. He remained with the 3rd Battalion on home service until the 4th of February 1921, when he transferred to the 2nd Battalion. 4 days later, on the 8th of February 1921, he requested to revert to the rank of private. Tandy served with the 2nd Battalion in Gibraltar from the 11th of April 1922 to the 18th of February 1923, in Turkey from the 19th of February to the 23rd of August 1923, and finally in Egypt from the 24th of August 1923 until the 29th of September 1925. He was finally discharged from the Army on the 5th of January 1926. In addition to his major awards, Tandy had also been mentioned in dispatches on 5 occasions. He was personally decorated by King George V at Buckingham Palace on the 17th of December 1919. Post-war years. Tandy returned to Leamington and married. Tandy died in 1977, childless, at the age of 86. At his request, he was cremated and his ashes buried in the Masnieres British Cemetery at Marcoing, France, on 23 May 1978, by his undertaker Pargata and Son. Due to French laws, it was not permissible for his ashes to be scattered, or any form of ceremony or commemoration made to him. Henry Tandy Court, on Union Road, in Leamington, is named after him. It was originally a workshop and builder's yard of Mr. G. F. Smith, who built St. Mark's Church and Vicarage. A blue plaque was installed outside the Angel Hotel in Regent Street, where Henry Tandy was born in 1891 and where he attended the local St. Peter's School. Medals. Tandy donated his medals to the Duke of Wellington's Regiment Museum in Halifax, West Yorkshire. On special occasions and parades he would sign them out to wear. During the last period that he had signed them out, he died, unaware that the medals should have been returned to the museum. The medals were auctioned at Sotheby's in London by his wife, and a private collector subsequently purchased them. They were presented to the Green Howards Regimental Museum by Sir Ernest Harrison OBE at a ceremony in the Tower of London on the 11th of November 1997, 20 years after Tandy died. A copy of Tandy's Victoria Cross is now displayed at the Green Howards Regimental Museum in Richmond, North Yorkshire. Along with others, the original VC is kept in a local bank vault. On the 6th of June 2006, the Green Howards and the Duke of Wellington's regiment amalgamated with the Prince of Wales's own regiment of Yorkshire to form the Yorkshire Regiment.